From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Wednesday, April 15th. Here's what we're covering on today's episode. Doña and the county commissioners approved an unusual resolution on Tuesday, seeking answers from the builders and tenants of a massive data center complex known as Project Jupiter, which is currently under construction in Santa Teresa. With more on this development, we now turn to the Journal Southern New Mexico correspondent Algernon Damasa, who's been following this story. Algernon, thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, Gino.
So, Algernon, we touched a little bit on the top of what's going on here, but for our listeners who might not be too familiar with Project Jupiter and the controversy surrounding it, can you give us a little bit of a summary of what's going on?
This has been the talk of Doña County for 7 months now. That is when the county approved a historically high $165 billion industrial revenue bond and some other incentives as well to help finance this sprawling complex of data centers. It's one of the largest under construction, and it's going to eventually support Oracle and OpenAI for training AI models. The process was pretty fast, and the approval came through really quickly and without a whole lot of transparency. That's according not just to people opposed to the project, but also people who are advocates for government transparency and care about how deals like this get done. And so there was some reporting last week that elevated the concerns even more. So last week, the Santa Fe New Mexican ran a story in which they interviewed the general counsel for the Office of the State Engineer, who said that the estimated water need for the microgrid power plant facilities that are going to supply the power for this data center would be something in the neighborhood of 1 million gallons a day, a little less than 1 million gallons a day. This got everybody's attention because they hadn't thought about the water use for the microgrids themselves in that way. Usually people talk about cooling data centers, but the microgrids need cooling as well. And so this changed the conversation from when we were talking about a closed loop cooling system that was just you fill it up once and it's good to go, and maybe whatever the people in the offices are using, to this ongoing 1 million gallon a day non-potable water that they're bringing in from another source to actually help supply the natural gas burning power plant with the water that it needs. And so that really kind of touched a nerve that got county commissioners wondering if this is exactly the deal that they thought they were signing on for.
And Algernon, as you mentioned, resources and the amount of them that are going to have to go into data center projects like Project Jupiter have really stirred a lot of concern, not only with the local public, but also with New Mexicans statewide. We've heard gubernatorial candidates face questions on the campaign trail about how they would deal with these data center projects if they were to get into office. So it's really become an issue that we're seeing a lot more people pay attention to.
Right. I mean, we haven't even really done a whole lot of reporting ourselves about another large data center being built for Meta just over the state line near Chaparral. Is another data center, and El Paso Water has approved something like 1 million gallons of water for that operation as well. And so I mean, the desert and the water table doesn't know from state lines. People in New Mexico are being affected by this growth of data centers, which are very thirsty projects in a region that is growing increasingly parched.
And Algernon, looking at your story, you mentioned that officials admitted that they lacked clear information and will investigate compliance with the agreements. And also looking ahead, a public community meeting with project stakeholders is planned for June as well. So still a lot of questions to be answered in regards to this project.
Right. And the commissioners are in the hot seat because they've been getting a lot of scorn from opponents of this project in the community for 7 months. Meanwhile, they want to do fact finding. I mean, just because somebody says something in a news article doesn't necessarily mean it's been independently verified. For instance, we at the Journal have not verified the claim that the microgrids would need 1 million gallons of water a day. And Oracle has issued a statement, but did not directly address that claim. So it's understandable that the county wants to kind of pursue this as a fact-finding mission and just see what's going on here. That's what the resolution was about. It was authorizing the county manager to proceed and try to get answers to those questions. The town hall that is happening in June is in response to constant pushing from the community, demanding an opportunity to meet representatives of the 4 companies involved in this data center to let them know what they're concerned about and try to get some answers to their questions.
So definitely probably not the last time we will hear about Project Jupiter, and Algernon, I would imagine, not the last time you'll be writing about it. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing the latest on this.
Your Project Jupiter correspondent says thank you and talk to you again soon.
With less than 2 months until New Mexico's June 2nd primary, the race for governor is already shaping up to be a costly and competitive contest led by Democrat Deb Haaland. The former U.S. Interior Secretary continues to dominate fundraising. Haaland has brought in about $4.1 million over the past 6 months, pushing her total to roughly $11.1 million since entering the race. She has also spent heavily, accounting for nearly 2/3 of the $10 million already spent across all candidates. Her Democratic rival Sam Bregman has raised about $1.2 million during that same period and nearly $3.7 million overall. His campaign emphasized strong in-state donor support while also criticizing Haaland for relying heavily on out-of-state contributions. Tensions between the two campaigns have escalated, including dispute over debates and campaign attacks. On the Republican side, candidates are trailing in fundraising but still investing heavily. Businessman Duke Rodriguez has largely self-funded his campaign with a $500,000 contribution and plans to add more. Albuquerque businessman Doug Turner has raised a similar amount from donors, while Rio Rancho Mayor Greg Hall has reported about $145,000 in recent contributions. The open race, with term-limited Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham unable to run again, is expected to be one of the most expensive in state history. Competitive primaries in both parties, something not seen since 1994, are driving early fundraising and spending as candidates battle to secure their party's nomination. Authorities say a man is in custody after a shootout with police early Tuesday near Bernalillo High School. Officers responded to gunfire around 4:50 a.m., chased the suspect, and later exchanged shots after he allegedly pointed a weapon at them. No officers were injured, and it's unclear if the suspect was hit. The incident prompted school cancellations and temporary shutdown of the Rail Runner Express, with buses replacing train service. The suspect was taken into custody around 7:10 a.m., and authorities have not released his identity or additional details. And the U.S. Forest Service will distribute $248 million nationwide to support rural schools and communities near national forests, including $11.2 million for New Mexico counties through the Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act. The funding helps pay for public schools, road maintenance, emergency services, and wildfire preparedness, though it's not limited to fire mitigation. Officials emphasize its importance this year as dry conditions and low snowpack raise wildfire risks across the West. In New Mexico, Creighton County received the largest share at $3.29 million, reflecting its proximity to multiple national forests. Other counties received smaller allocations based off their forest land and needs. The program, reauthorized annually since 2000, has delivered billions of dollars in aid to rural communities that lost revenue as federal lands expanded. This year's funding also supports efforts like FireWise programs and community wildfire protection planning. The Leading News is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Today you can expect sunny skies with a high near 71, and as for this evening, mostly clear with a low around 41. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the Leading News. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.